Hey everybody, this is Jimmy Red, and this is a general introduction to my midterm exams. I'm going to look at a midterm exam guideline from my fall 2017 English Lit After 1800 class, but please note immediately that these guidelines may differ from your particular class, and I will devote a video that goes into detail about your particular class. But this video should give you some general guidelines for success in my midterm exams. Okay, so in all my midterm exams, you should be able to find the guidelines and other necessary info on the My Courses page. On the left-hand side, you'll see exams/quizzes, and within that folder you will see the midterm exam guidelines. In this case here, you will see these guidelines, and yours should look very similar to this, although there will be differences, notable differences, such as the days that it's open and the text to study, etc. Let me tell you the things to look for. First off, in these documents you will see how long you have to complete the exam. For midterms, I give 3 hours and 30 minutes to complete the exam. For the final exam, that will change to 3 hours. The exams always will be open for a range of days. For this particular course, it was Thursday, October the 5th through Monday, October the 9th. Again, you should look at your particular course to see when your exam will be open. And all of these exams, once you open the exam, your questions are assigned and the timer will begin for 3 hours and 30 minutes. You have that long to complete it. All of these exams will require that you be familiar with the works that have been covered thus far in the semester, and it will list the works that will be in question here in this section that says text to study. Yours may be different depending on the course. The test will never cover any secondary source material, and you should not use any outside source material besides the assigned primary source material, which this is primary source material. There is a notable exception. I do allow the research starters and courses that incorporate research starters, or in courses that mainly focus on the textbook. Then the editorial introductions in those courses will be allowed if and only if they're cited in MLA style. And even then, you should only use one sentence generally, sometimes two. Alright, there are always two types of questions in these exams. There's the excerpt or poem analysis questions, and then the essay section of the exam. Okay, in the excerpt or poem analysis questions, most people get the excerpt analysis questions. All courses have those types of questions. And in that case here, it explains what goes into that type of a question for prose works here. These are excerpt analysis questions where you get big block quotations. That's all there is for the question. It's a block quotation from one of these texts that are listed above. And you're asked to analyze the significance of that quote within the context of the particular source in question. Now, I'm not sure why some people insist upon just telling me what words I left out of the quote. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I mean by the missing context or within the context of the source. I want you to analyze the meaning behind that quote. Show me that you understand what that quote means, and to show me that you can connect that quote with other passages within the work to show me why it was significant. So, summarizing that quote in your own words is briefly expected, but the primary focus is analyzing the quote's importance and establish within the rest of the work. So there's generally three parts to one of these answers. As you see here, part number 1, all answers start or end with a theme statement. If you haven't figured out how to do one of those yet, this is an essential part to success in the course. You can view the Essays and Writing Resources tab over here, and there's a document that will help you to show you how to develop thematic statements. You should have one of those. The more developed the thematic statement, then generally the more you have to talk about within the answer, and the better the answer. Most of the answer, the bulk of the answer, that's probably, these are usually 5 to 7 sentences, shows how that theme statement is illustrated within the quote and in the rest of the work through plot and character elements. So show me how that theme's illustrated within the particular passage within question, and show me how that passage connects to other plot and character elements, perhaps. So what happened before this quote? What happened after this quote? Is it a point when a character reaches a significant moment of development or realization, for instance? What are other passages within the work that also comment upon this particular theme to which you can connect this passage? These are all different things to talk about. The more you write, generally, the better your grade. And then that third part there, final sentences usually connect to other works in the course. This is how you distinguish your answer. Are there other works in the course that talk about that same thematic topic? What are they? How do they talk about them? Generally, that's a sentence or two. And generally, the first part is a sentence or two. Again, the biggest part is number 2. In some courses, I have what's called a poem analysis question. Not all courses will have this. My World Lit courses don't usually have this. In the case of a poem, sometimes I'll give you a poem's title, or particular sections of the poem will be provided, and you should explicate the poem. That means I'm looking for a line-by-line analysis of the poem. The general structure of this answer is the same. It starts out with a thematic statement. The second part is the biggest part. This is where you illustrate the thematic meaning of the work by looking at line by line what's going on. And then the third part is you connecting to other works of literature in the course. Perhaps even other poems that that author wrote, for instance. Generally, these excerpted poem analysis answers are 75 to 100 words. There's never any maximum word count in any of my exams or essays. Generally, the more you write, the more distinguished the grade. It works generally that way. It's not always the case, but generally, the more students write, the better the grade. I'm looking for brief quotes. Don't give me a giant block quote to pad the word count, but do be sure to use specific evidence, as always, to prove your answer. Okay. Now, we're about to move to the excerpt analysis, important passages to study for the exam. Generally, that will have 10 to 15 different possible questions that you could see, or excerpts and poems that you might see on the exam. Okay, so of those, you'll be randomized once the exam opens, 8. You'll get 8 of those. You choose 6 that you feel the most comfortable in answering. You choose 6 in that case. And you omit 2. If you don't omit any, if you just answer all 8, which you shouldn't, I'll just grade the first 6 that you answer. So you should omit 2 that you don't feel as comfortable answering. All right, finally, there's the essay section of the question. So those were 6 questions, 6 answers that you provided. Now you're moving on to the 7th answer, which is the essay, and it's the longest answer. Now, this will vary by course. In most of my courses, there are 3 potential essay prompts, and students will be randomized one of those 3. Okay, and again, you should look at the important passages to study in the essay section of your course in order to fully see which 3 questions you may be asked. But in all of these essay questions, you should analyze thematic trends as always. You should have an introduction, body paragraphs, generally 2 body paragraphs, and a concluding paragraph. The introductory paragraph identifies theme statement and context surrounding that theme. The body paragraphs illustrate that theme statement with specific evidence from the text. I do expect quotes and analysis of quotes. The conclusion summarizes your main points, but also connects to other works within the course. So the general framework of these essay questions is the same as your excerpt and poem analysis. It's just with the excerpt analysis, you generally have an answer that's at least 100 words, and the essay expands greatly to have at least 400 words. So that's generally what's going on. And also, I never want you to duplicate your major essay number 1 that you just finished writing. I want you to always find a different approach or choose a different work to analyze, no matter what you are assigned. There are other examples of websites listed here that can show you how to develop short essay answers listed here, as well as example essay answers. And then there are tips and strategies for success. A notable one is that you should type your answers into a Word document or a Google Drive document. That might even be better because it saves the work as you go along. Why? If you lose internet access or something like that, then you have your answers saved. You can also use Microsoft Word spelling and grammar check. Sometimes you need to use keyboard commands to copy and paste into a My Courses window. You see those listed here for a computer or a PC. You can also find them listed for a Mac. If you have technical issues, please contact the MSU Help Desk and also keep me in the feedback loop, but they are the ones who can help you with technical issues. You can also see within the course here the important passages to study. You'll also see the exam question or questions listed here. You'll see examples of distinguished exam answers students have written before that I invite you to view on your own. And you'll also see my grading rubric for the exams to see the sliding scale of how they are graded and best practices for success. I encourage you to view all of these things on your own, as well as the midterm guidelines that are specific to your course. Again, the guidelines that I showed you were for a particular course, English Lit After 1800, fall 2017, and yours may differ to a small degree. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Please let me know via email if you have any questions. Thanks.